Good greetings, my beautiful lovelies. It's Emmy. How are you? It's great to see you and welcome back. Today, I'm going to be testing the Meghan Markle or Meghan Duchess of Sussex's one pot pasta. She makes this in her first episode of her new Netflix series called With Love, Meghan, and it's got people talking. Some people say it's terrible, some people say it's delicious, but it's got a lot of buzz, understandably, because it has to do with her. Of course, she is married to Prince Harry and they now live in California after fleeing and leaving the UK and basically leaving their royal position. So I did watch the first episode last night to get a little background on this recipe, to understand the context a little bit better and perhaps the controversy, and I can see potentially what people are talking about. But I've got a feeling whatever Meghan made, people would have issue, very particular people. I think a lot of people have beef with her simply because of her position and who she married, which is unfortunate. It's difficult to get an objective kind of opinion on things when the opinions are already going to be biased. But similar to some shows you can find on the Food Network these days, there is some sort of theme. Someone's coming over, for example, in this first episode, and Meghan is making them things to make them feel welcome and cooking this pasta to have as a lunch. But anyways, let's go ahead and make this pasta and see if it's any good. Here are all the ingredients, very colorful. This is also a vegetarian recipe. It does contain dairy, so it is not vegan. So coincidentally, Meghan uses this pot in her recipe, which is great. I happen to have it. In this bowl, I have a selection of yellow and red cherry tomatoes, so beautiful. We're gonna have our cherry tomatoes. I have red and yellow ones. And we're just gonna toss them into our skillet. Don't even have the heat on. So I was able to unearth a potential source of controversy. Some people say that this recipe was stolen, which is hard for me to understand because recipes are not copywritten. People adapt them all the time. Martha did publish a pasta recipe using tomatoes and basil and this technique way back in 2013, and she republished it again in 2019. So I have a layer of tomatoes covering the bottom of my pot. There were not exact instructions or amounts given in the recipe, but this is what I'm going to do based on what I saw. Now we're going to generously salt this. I'm going to add more salt as I cook this because we want this to be tasty. And olive oil, pepper, a few cloves of garlic that's been minced. And I've been doing this thing recently where I mince a huge batch of garlic and then I freeze them into little pieces like this. And it's so convenient. Prep my vegetables. So Meghan adds both chard and kale. And she uses this kind of kale. This is like dinosaur kale. So what I'm doing is taking the ribs out of the chard. This is a little bit tougher and takes a little longer to cook. So slice that out. And same thing with the kale. You can rip out the rib so it's not as tough. That I'm not going to put in the pasta. Just the leaves. We're gonna put the leaves in later. So I'm gonna chop up the rainbow chard, the stalks, and add this to the tomatoes as well. Rainbow chard is so beautiful. I grow it in my garden every year. Did have trouble with bunnies eating it last year, which was a bummer. Bunny and deer. Another year, another garden. Okay, I'm just coarsely chopping the chard tops and the kale, and this is about 3 or 4 stalks of each. These will cook down quite a bit though, as do most greens. Look at that, beautiful and healthy. Now I've got 1 pound of pasta, and this is the part that's a little bit shocking the first time you see it, perhaps. Pasta, and then I'm gonna add some basil. This is a little bit interesting. We're gonna have the zest of 1 lemon. I like doing it this way. I find it's more effective for whatever reason. You take the zester or the grater over the lemon rather than the lemon over the grater. I don't know why. I find it works better, and I always forget in the beginning. Oh, it smells so good. Probably about half a teaspoon of zest. Beautiful, right? Now we're gonna add boiling water to this so that we can cook our pasta. So we need just about enough water to just barely reach the top of the pasta. Cook it 4 to 6 minutes and we'll come back and then add our greens. Alrighty, lovelies, the timer has beeped. It has been 5 minutes. Let us see what we have. All right, ooh, plopping, plop, plop, plopping along. And I'm gonna go ahead and start stirring this. Look at that. So much of the water has been absorbed into the pasta. Pasta is not quite done. It's still firm, but it's smelling great. Smelling that garlic and the lemon. This water is going to turn into our sauce, and why it works is the starch from the pasta is going to thicken it, which is pretty typical in Italian cookery, using the pasta water to thin out sauces, but also to kind of bolster them too. We're going to add our greens, the chard and the kale. Cover this and cook it for another 4 minutes. And by then this should be ready to eat. It has been a few minutes. Let's give this a check. Oh, look at that. Oh, I almost forgot to mention that this is not the first time I've cooked a Meghan Markle, or she wasn't Duchess of Sussex at the time when I cooked her first recipe, but it was for another dish called filthy sexy pasta. I mean, with a name like that, I mean, come on, how could you not make it? I'll put a link down below to that video in case you missed it. And look at how the water has kind of thickened up. See that? So the last bit of seasoning, we're gonna add a little bit of red pepper flakes, just for a little bit of spice, not too much. Cheese. And then Meghan adds arugula, which is kind of a bitter green, I would say, definitely bitter. It's called rocket on the other side of the pond. I'm adding basil because I don't have arugula. More cheese. So this is about a half a cup of cheese now. Good to have hot water on hand while making this recipe so you can adjust the sauciness as you go along. See how the sauce has formed? All right, looks pretty good. Twist it. Some of our chard and kale. What do you think? Alrighty, my lovelies, let's give the one skillet pasta a taste. Looks pretty good to me. Make sure we get a bite of everything. Itadakimasu. I'm surprised I can discern the lemon zest in there. Definitely taste that. And the garlic. It's a light pasta. I'm gonna add a little additional cheese. The flavors are simple. Definitely taste the garlic and the lemon zest. I think the amount of garlic was good, 3 cloves. I think maybe I needed more tomatoes. Covered the entire bottom of my tomatoes. Maybe I should have used all of them, just so it has a little bit more of a tomatoey flavor, but it's not a bad pasta. The cheese adds a nice little kind of funky saltiness to it. Not too salty. In fact, I think I should add a little bit more salt to this. I have to say the noodles are perfectly cooked. They've got an al dente bite to them, meaning they're firm, but they're not hard. It's not squishy at all, not at all overcooked. What do I think of the vegetables? Let me try the vegetables. The vegetables are nice. I quite like chard. If you've never had chard before, it's similar in flavor to spinach, a very benign flavor, not too bitter, but more of a texture than spinach. Spinach gets nice and slippery, while chard has a little bit more resistance. Kale's a lot more fibrous and has more of a green kind of vegetal flavor to it, which I don't mind, but some others might find too strong or bitter, but I like kale. It's a pretty good pasta. It's pretty light. I think it would make a great kind of brunchy pasta, perhaps with a salad or a soup accompanying it, but it needs a little bit more oomph in my opinion. I think if I would make this again to the water, I would add some chicken broth, maybe a little bit of white wine, just to give another layer of flavor, or just maybe more salt to the cooking water. But that makes sense because usually when I make pasta, I salt the pasta water pretty aggressively and then I strain it. In this recipe, we are cooking the pasta in the water, so we definitely need a good amount of seasoning. Alrighty, my lovelies, there you have it. I made Megan's 1 skillet pasta, and it is pretty good. There's lots of room for adjustment. I would say make sure to add enough salt to the water. If not salt, add some broth, so that way your pasta gets nice and flavorful. But I like the simplicity. I like that you can just do it in one pot. There really isn't much to clean up. And you can make this recipe in about a half an hour, which is pretty stinking great. Home cooked meal for yourself, for your family, for friends, and it has vegetables in it. It's good for you. Alright, my lovelies, thanks as always for watching. I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media, like this video, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Toodaloo, take care, bye! Why do I want cheesy toast? I have no idea. Toast and pasta, I think it is. Garlic bread. That's what I want.